Good morning, DXN!
Hi, Dr. Lim here. Today, we shall talk about the author of Shang and some historical background when the book was written. Shang was written between 200 and 210 CE, just before the collapse of the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty began in 202 BCE and ended in year 200 CE, and is the first major Chinese empire. Due to the great achievement of this dynasty, even today, sometimes Chinese still refer to themselves as Han or Han people. Japanese call the Chinese writing as kanji. Kan is the spelling of Japanese for Han, meaning the Han character. Then contemporary of Han were another three great empires. To the west is the Roman Empire. Then moving eastwards is the Persian Empire, and then the Indian Kushan Empire. From archaeological finding, they have found the Roman coins in ancient China, meaning that the trading has been extended as far as Roman and even Egypt to the Silk Road along the Hertao corridor, which is sandwiched between Tibet Plateau and Mongolia. In the early years of the Han Dynasty, war broke out between the Chinese and the Tatar. The Han Empire Liu Bang took the initiative to attack the Tatar and was defeated in great humiliation. The Chinese found that they lost the war due to the quality of the weapon. The Tatar only know how to produce steel, and the Chinese still use a normal iron, which has no match to steel in battle. Then Tatar was basically using cavalry and having very good horses. Chinese were mainly foot soldier and some inferior horses. So when the Tatar broke the supply chain and encircled the Chinese, the war was over. The Chinese emperor sued for peace, and the Tatar demand a few demands. First, Han must open up the borders to facilitate trades. Secondly, had to pay some compensation and yearly contribution. Last and the most humiliating of all was Han had to marry the princess to the Khan, or the Prince of Tatar. The defeat in the war was too much for the Han. Then they found that actually the Tatar learned the art of making steel from Kushan, India. And Kushan produced even better horses than the Tatar. The horses from Kushan also trade westward and eventually become the famous Arabic horses. When traded to China, it became the famous Tawan horse. Because of the similarity between the Arabic horse in China, they also call it Arabic horse, which it is actually of the Kushan Empire of ancient India. And together with the horse, alfalfa and many herbs, and also the art to apply minerals in medicine, even the art of surgery were taught to the Chinese. This led to some kind of technical revolution in China, where the art of making steel was perfected and produced the famous Han sword, the grandfather of samurai sword. Because in the later Tang Dynasty, China defeated Japan in Baijiangkou, which is in Korea. Tang came to the rescue of Korea when he was attacked by the Japanese. Japanese using the iron sword, which had no match to the Tang sword made of steel. Later, Japan learned the steel making technology from the Tang Dynasty, borrowed the technique of the Tang sword to produce the famous samurai sword. In the West, Arab used similar technology from Kushan and produced the famous Damascus sword. Today, when modern Indian students look at samurai sword and Damascus swords, the famous Arabic swords, few realize that they actually originated in India. Kushan was the technology hub of the time. Han imported the technology and advances in military, metallurgy, herbs and medicines, agriculture with foreign fruits, vegetables, spices, and of course the spread of Buddhism. After learning the technology from Kushan and adopting the cavalry technique and even the military technique, the Tatar in warfare, Han defeated Tatar after 70 years, driven many of them westward towards Europe and Turkey. I am not teaching history here, just to remind of us that technologies are changing and we should do what the Han people do, constantly absorb the new and advanced technology to become part of our technology and skill. Learning the knowledge from others, even from our enemy, to enrich ourselves. Towards the end of the Han Dynasty, the herbs and medicine technology in China has already leading in the world. The contemporary of Zhang Zhongjing, Hua Tuo, can even perform the skull surgery with anesthesia, removing the tumor from the brain. Some scholars think that Hua Tuo may be Persian or Indian that migrated to China and brought the art of surgery to China, because his name sounds foreign and not a typical Chinese name. When reaching the era of Zhang Zhongjing, Han has approached its end and China entered into civil war, and many warring states were formed. Constant conflict led to spreads of contagious diseases. When famine struck in some war, the consequences were deadly. In the preface of Sang Hanlun, that within 10 years' time, the family of Zhang Zhongjing, well over 200 people, about 70%, perished in the pandemic and various diseases. This led him to take up the art of medicines to fight against the pandemic and harmful diseases. He learned the art from his teacher, Zhang Pochu, read many books that associate with medical science, and finally established his famous six-section theory, Liu Jing Penchen, which is the father of our hexagenous reflexology in ganotherapy. Zhang Zhongjing focuses mainly on herbs and touches slightly on surgery and acupuncture. He was the first great doctor that systematically classified the diseases and herbs or herbal formula by six-section theory, which we shall discuss shortly. He also applied the six-section theory on Pau's observation. Later, I expand the six-section theory into hexagenous section theory and apply it to acupuncture and reflexology, complementing those areas left out by Zhang Zhongjing. Maybe due to the influence from Kusan, many methods of treatment in Zhang Zhongjing are similar to ancient Ayurveda. When I am teaching the herbology, Dr. Sawara, our senior instructor and a qualified Ayurvedic doctor, commented that it reminds him of many practices in Ayurveda that have been ignored or diminished nowadays. So, Sang Hanlun may be of great help when we wish to revise back the ancient art of Ayurveda. Over the centuries, many doctors were successful using the herbal formula of Sang Hanlun to treat chronic disease, fever, and contagious disease and injuries. This is even important for today, as many bacteria become drug resistant and modern medicine is poor to treat the viruses diseases like AIDS, flus, and pandemic like COVID-19. But the herbal formula of Zhang Zhongjing are still effective to treat all these health problems. Flu is considered untreatable in modern medicine, but the first chapter of Sang Hanlun, we are dealing with flus. I have been traveling widely for the past 30 years. I do not remember I have contracted any flu or fever or even headache. As there are signs of infection, I can quickly treat myself and get rid of the symptoms, thanks to the teaching of Sang Hanlun. You need not worry about that, because the first chapter of Sang Hanlun is dealing with fever and flu. Once you master the art, you can manage that very well for yourself, your family, and of course your patients. Today, the pandemic of COVID-19, which is a pandemic flu, causes a lot of harm, and 10 millions, over 10 million people are infected now. If the art of Sang Hanlun is widely taught to the world, I believe this problem can be effectively handled. And China has effectively combated the COVID-19, applying the herbal formula of TCN, where the basic formula is from Sang Hanlun. Zhang Zhongjing was a government officer and apparently not a rich man. Okay, he's good, but not rich. He has to write down his book using the bamboo strip. Rich people at the time could write in more durable material like cloth, leather, or costly paper. The word has to be carved by knife one by one on the bamboo by Zhang Zhongjing. This was a tedious process. Whenever I feel tired from studying Sang Hanlun or preparing the lecture notes of Sang Hanlun, when I imagine deep into the night under the flame of oil lamp, Chang Chung Ching carving his teaching tediously on the bamboo, words by words, taking many years to complete the book, all my tiredness disappear and I can continue working. Chang Chung Ching completed 16 chapters. Apparently, 10 chapters are about succession theory and 6 chapters are miscellaneous theory, which he grouped the miscellaneous diseases, which are not easy to be grouped into succession theory, but can be grouped according to various types of disease, like the woman sickness, certain groups of diseases, and etc. He named his book as Sang Han Cha Ping Lun. Sang Han, you already know, refer to harmful diseases, which is classified by succession theory. And Cha Ping means miscellaneous disease. Those diseases that are not covered in the succession theory are put into the last 6 chapters. Unfortunately, shortly after Chang Chung Ching completed this book, war broke up again and China was in complete chaos. Sang Han Cha Ping Lun, or discussion on the harmful and miscellaneous diseases, was lost due to war. Finally, in Qin Empire, which is spanning from 266 CE to 420 CE, took over the Han Empire. The palace doctor Wang Suhe, many believe he was the student or grand student of Chang Chung Ching, managed to recompile the books. Apparently, he only managed to get a section of the book on succession theory and managed to compile back the 10 chapters. 6 chapters of miscellaneous diseases were missing. As the compiled book was mainly on the succession theory and not on miscellaneous disease, Wang Suhe renamed the book he compiled as Sang Han Lun, doing away with Cha Ping, the miscellaneous disease. The reason was very obvious, but many later scholars apparently not aware of this and criticized Wang Suhe, modified the name of the book and making people confused that Sang Han Lun is only for cold-inflicted disease, not able to treat topical and warm diseases, and not good to treat miscellaneous disease like the chronic diseases. During the transmission of the book over the long years, there was a problem. The book is not widely applied by the herbalists due to its limited circulation until the Song Empire, which is spanning 960 CE to 1279 CE. Before that, printing was not widely available and the book was copied by hand. This may lead to some mistake in the copying. Only till 1065 CE, the government of Song dynasty instructed Cao Baowei, Sun Qi, Li Yi, and etc. to foolproof and typeset it for printing. Song dynasty was advanced in technology. Paper making and printing were already well established, and thousands of the books were printed and distributed by the government. The government of Song dynasty was one of the well-organized dynasty and progressed well in trading and technical innovation. They established a medical ministry and compiled a few important medical books and a few hundred herbal formula, which was still widely used until today. At first, the printing was in big character and used up more paper. In order to cut down the cost, the government even reduced the font size and printed in a smaller and cheaper copy. Due to the promotion from the government, Sang Han Lun was widely studied by many herbal students and doctors and became one of the pillars in the study of TCM. But there were 2 problems. First, the Song dynasty was 1,000 years from the Han dynasty. The usage of language has changed. The treatment of diseases were in 2 broad categories. One in treating diseases due to pandemic, which was characterized by the high fever, which is known as warm diseases, and the treatment of disease due to overexposure to cold, known as cold diseases. By right, this was a good development of the herbology. Unfortunately, many scholars started to say that Sang Han Lun is only good for cold-infected diseases, as Han can mean cold. This led to a school of herbalists insisted Sang Han Lun was not suitable for contagious disease and warm diseases. In Song, diseases are also divided according to systemic disease and miscellaneous disease. For example, diseases that can be classified by the succession theory are systemic. Many chronic disease and woman disease and etc. that are not easy to to be classified by the six section diseases are known as miscellaneous diseases. Then a group of scholars insist that Sang Han Lun is only good for systemic disease and not good for miscellaneous disease. Not only that, they put the blame on Wang Suhe, said he changed the name of the book and made people think this is only good for systemic disease and not the miscellaneous disease. Also, only Sang Han is used, then make people think that this book is only for co-infected diseases. They have misunderstood Wang Suhe. He was right to change the name of the book, and he must have realized the six sections of the miscellaneous diseases are not included. Without Wang Suhe, we are not even able to read the book by now. So many scholars are still praising Wang highly. Fortunately, the missing section of the miscellaneous disease did found during the Song Dynasty too. The section was compiled into another book called Jingui the important summary in Golden Chamber. Song scholars take out the miscellaneous diseases treatment section and recompile the book. In ancient China, important documents were stored in the metallic chamber, which they call it the gold chamber. As the art of Sang Han is so important, the title indicates we must safely keep it and study it thoroughly. Most Sang Han scholars are taking Jingui as part of Sang Han and study these two books together. Sang Han Lun used only 90 types of herbs and formulated about 113 formulas. This is one of the reasons why we choose Sang Han Lun as a main teaching text. The usage of herb is not too wide. The formula is simple and effective, and most important, the theory used in Sang Han Lun is also rudimental and easy to understand. There are many famous herbalists apply only six section theory and apply the main herbal formula in Sang Han Lun to treat wide ranges of diseases, including the worm disease, tropical contagious disease, and many miscellaneous diseases. Which simply means that if you study the Sang Han Lun well, you can become a fully qualified herbalist for sure. The herbal formula used in Jingui is about 262 numbers. Many are repetitive from Sang Han Lun. I have expanded the six section theory of Zhang Zhongjing into hexagenous section theory and include all the miscellaneous diseases, which otherwise are put outside the classification of six section theory. I have recompiled the classification of the herbal formula from both the books and put all of them together in one single book, which we shall study after the end of Sang Han Lun. The greatest contribution of Sang Han Lun are in two areas. First is a systematic classify the disease into six sections, and hence the treatment of similar sections, the method are similar. That greatly facilitate the formulation of herbal formula and usage of herbs. This is the first book of diagnosis and apply the principle of reflexology, treating the body according to the affected section and not so much as treating the diseases. Second contribution of the book is on the diagnosis technique, the taking of pulse, observation of mental and physical state, and etc. Okay, laid the solid foundation for the future diagnostic method and system. This diagnosis system is still widely used today, and in some area even more advanced than the present-day medical system. For example, fever are classified into external disease or exogenous fever, intermediate disease, the enterogenous fever, and internal fever, the endogenous fever. The treatment are not the same. Many fever patients, even in modern hospital, suffer a lot because the treatment of fever is basically the same in hospital, whereas the external and internal that inflicted a lot of suffering on the patient, sometimes treated wrongly and can be fatal. We should not think that the book is almost 2,000 years old now. Maybe it is not comparable to the modern medical system. We do agree medical science has improved a lot during modern science technology, and we never against the modern diagnosis and classification of diseases. But over the years, we do see how some therapists or doctors mistreated the patients due to ignorance of the hexagenous section theory, inflicted untold agony on the patients. Hence, the promotion of Sang Han Lun and his great son, the ganotherapy, is absolutely necessary. In advanced ganotherapy, we do replace many Chinese herbs with modern vegetables. As Chinese herbs are not widely circulated and restricted by medical law in many parts of the world, But no one can stop the eating of day-to-day veggie. That is the first enhancement I made to Sang Han Lun. I also expanded the six-section theory, which normally is not inclusive of miscellaneous diseases, into a wider hexagenous section theory, which can include all types of diseases. That is the second enhancement I made to Sang Han Lun. Least but not less, Sang Han Lun did not touch much on acupuncture and reflexology. I applied the hexagenous section theory to acupuncture, cupping, reflexology, and etc. This greatly simplified the study of acupuncture, and we can train an acupuncturist in the shortest time possible. This we shall cover in the teaching of hexagenous section theory. Please go back to my previous video on hexagenous reflexology, which we are going to use again and again in the study of Sang Han Lun and herbology. That's all for today, folks. See you again. Bye-bye.
Good morning, DXN.